because according to President Donald Trump, Sean Combs asked for a presidential pardon following his conviction on 2 prostitution-related charges. That happened today, according to President Trump. Now, again, it came from President Trump, so take it with a grain of salt. But I am inclined to believe him because this is the kind of stuff he loves to talk about and loves to celebrate. Speaking in the Oval Office, Trump said, "A lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy. He has asked me for a pardon." Now, based on that quote, it's not clear whether he asked him for it sooner or whether uh, he asked him more recently now that he found out what the sentencing is. But he certainly asked him after he was convicted. Anyway, Mr. Combs' team has not commented publicly on the president's remarks. Again, he was sentenced on Friday to more than 4 years in prison. He's going to receive a credit for the 12 months he has already served at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, along with a $500,000 fine. His lawyers are considering an appeal. They argue that the sentence is 4 times longer than what they requested and was based on unproven allegations outside of his convictions. Attorney Tony Garrigo said the jury made it very clear in their verdict that they acquitted him of the sex trafficking and RICO counts. Now, Combs has requested a placement at FCI Fort Dix. That's a low security federal facility in New Jersey. It's where John Forte was, if I remember correctly, where he could participate in the residential drug abuse program and other educational or rehabilitative programs to remain close to his family. Trump was also asked about a possible pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, who is currently serving she is serving a sentence for her role in the Epstein sex trafficking scheme. The Supreme Court declined to hear Maxwell's appeal on Monday, leaving her conviction in place. So President Trump's got some decisions to make. The Maxwell one is messy and complicated because the Epstein trial seems to have implicated a whole bunch of people, including him. I'm not saying he did anything illegal. I'm not saying he did anything immoral. I'm just saying his name keeps popping up. And so that may make him more or less likely to do something about Maxwell. But when it comes to Diddy, this is where it gets interesting for him. Now, first, there is the Diddy argument. There's the Diddy legal team argument, which is he was acquitted of all that other stuff. Why is it being used as evidence of his immorality or his moral indifference or his criminality? You can't charge someone with 3 crimes, acquit him of 2, and then hold them accountable for the 2 for which they were acquitted in the 3rd one. That's the legal team's argument. Now, the judge's argument is different. Judge Supermanian said, wait a minute. Yes, I can. And presented case law to show that you can use some of the acquittal stuff against the defendant for the thing that they were convicted of. Now, it's not cut and dry. It's a little more complicated than that. You know, in this case, the things that they're using against him are things that Diddy, I believe, is stipulated to and conceded. Even though he's found legally not guilty, that doesn't make you morally innocent. It doesn't make you factually innocent. You get what I'm saying? For example, you could be found not guilty using an affirmative defense. You could be found out guilty for procedural reasons. You could be found not guilty for things that don't absolve you morally. They just mean you shouldn't be legally found guilty. And can you use some of that stuff against someone? Yeah, you can. Legally. Now, again, we can raise our own ethical and moral questions about that. We can also say, does this follow the will of the jury? This is what the jury wanted. They could have convicted him for that stuff. They didn't. They didn't think he did it. Now what? Other approaches are he is a monster. There are many things for which he was not acquitted. He has ducked accountability his entire life. We shouldn't be boo-hooing over these 4 years. This is the debate. This is a debate that will be used in law schools. This is a debate that will pop up in lots of places around the ethics question and the difference between morality and legal ethics. But Diddy and him said, look, we ain't trying to be no case study in law school. Diddy and him said, no, we want to be home. And people have long assumed that the ace in the hole, the thing that would definitely get him home, is Donald Trump. It could be. It could be. Donald Trump doesn't seem to care. Donald Trump doesn't seem to care about morality. He never has. Donald Trump doesn't seem to care about. Donald Trump doesn't seem to care about uh, public image. Because it's hard to imagine. It's hard. It's almost impossible to imagine that someone could acquit Diddy at this moment and not take some public relations hits. But the truth of the matter is, Donald Trump does all kinds of things that are evil and doesn't take the public relations hits that other people do. So maybe it will work for him. I can't say. What I can say is that it's a possibility. I would not assume that any other president would do that, would acquit Diddy, or excuse me, pardon Diddy or commute Diddy's sentence. But with Trump, it is entirely possible. And I want to make that clear. Trump may not pardon him, but he may commute a sentence so that it basically becomes effectively time served. That would not shock me either. One theory is that Diddy knows something about Puff. They used to party together. They used to hang together. So if they partied and hung together, maybe he knows something about the president. Maybe it's favor for a favor, like like Scarface and Nas. That's a song, by the way. I'm not saying they did anything. Maybe Trump just wants to piss everybody off. He doesn't seem to matter. Adrian said, I don't think there's anything in it for Trump. That's what I'm saying. You got to play that they partied together 25 years ago. And Puff, Sean Combs, Diddy, whatever you want to call him, did a good job of making sure he knew not just where bodies were buried, but who was attached to them bodies. So if there is something to be known about Trump, exactly, Adrian, unless Diddy got a tape of Trump, you never know. I don't know what he got. I don't know what he knows. But I know that Trump is asking, it might be for a reason. It could be for a reason. So we'll see. But the fact that Diddy's asking tells you that he's out of legal options. He doesn't believe his appeals are going to work, and he's upset and he's desperate. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I think the biggest issue for Diddy, for me, or that I care about for Diddy, is that he actually get help, that he actually become a better person, that he actually repairs the damage that he's done. That to me is more important than anything else.